We are joined now by Democratic Senator Cory Booker. He joins us from Iowa this morning. Senator Booker, thank you for joining us this morning. I just have to start. I want to get you to respond to Professor Dershowitz and Senator Shelby. First, you dropped out of the presidential race. Why are you still in Iowa?
I came out here to say thank you to the hundreds and hundreds of folks who helped me in this election. It's just incredible to see the kind of support we had here. And these are the folks we're going to need for the general election, and for elections up and down the ballot. So I'm here to say thank you and to let people know that I may not be in this race, but we've got to press on in the fight. This is the most consequential election of our lifetimes, and everybody's got to get involved, even if our top choice candidate is not the nominee.
Well, you've just heard you're also going to be serving now as a judge and juror in this Senate trial of President Trump. You just heard Professor Dershowitz and Senator Shelby saying basically that, at least Professor Dershowitz saying that even if everything in the House case is accepted as fact, it's not impeachable. Your response?
Honestly, that's just stunning to me, and I don't know what signal we're sending to future presidents if that's the new standard in America, where you can openly solicit foreign interference, where you can hold up taxpayer dollars that, in fact, the Government Accountability Office says was illegal to do so in order to extort, to leverage foreign interference in our elections. That this is preposterous, that this would not be an impeachable offense, that this standard in America is now that presidents could abuse their power to help them in elections. It's just, this is unacceptable. And the fact that we can't even get Republicans to answer your question directly, is that behavior wrong? It is absolutely wrong. And this is the thing that really disturbs me, because we as senators have access to classified information, much of which actually is in the public sphere, about the incredibly detailed, earnest efforts by the Russians and others to interfere in our elections. This is real. From Madagascar to the EU, democracy is under attack by at least Russia and more countries to try to undermine democracy as we know it. We have a president that has openly been engaging with the Russians and others, right now, in this case, the Ukraine, to try to undermine our elections. This is a real threat to this nation. And so what are we going to do when a president openly, unabashedly, in a way that's provable, in the way that his top levels of his administrations has said was done? What are we going to do when our democracy is under threat? Tolerate this behavior or do something to stop it and hold that person accountable? One
of the big open questions, of course, probably the biggest open question right now in this trial, is whether you're going to hear from new witnesses. One of the proposals you're seeing floated now from some Republicans is reciprocity, that if the Democrats get the witnesses they're calling for, Republicans should get the witnesses they are calling for, like Hunter Biden. Is that something you can accept?
First of all, these assaults on the Biden family are not relevant to what's at issue in this case. And this is an invitation to try to muddle waters. This is what we've been hearing from many right-wing organizations, just try to muddle the waters. This is a trial going on in the Senate about the conduct of the President of the United States, and what is the facts that should be presented should be germane to the issue at hand. And so I'm going to press for what every objective juror should press for, is relevant fact witnesses coming before the Senate. And this absurdity, again, that there are firsthand witnesses like Bolton that would not come before the United States Senate. That means we won't have the kind of trial that every American should expect, where we get to the facts, we get to the relevant information, and can discern the truth.
You know, President Trump and others have suggested that the Democrats are slow-walking this impeachment, and Speaker Pelosi upheld the articles in order to help Joe Biden and hurt Bernie Sanders. What do you make of that? And as someone who was competing in Iowa, what impact do you think the trial will have on those senators who now have to serve?
Look, I worry about this election coming up a lot, and I hear Republican arguments that, hey, let's just let the voters decide. It's almost like saying that the Astros have cheated, and we're going to decide whether to hold the Astros accountable by how they do in the next game. Our democracy is under attack. It is under ongoing attack. We have a president that is cooperating or leveraging, working with foreign powers to try to undermine the fairness of the election. We need to act. We need to act now. And all of us, and I know my senators, you just had a colleague that I am friends with, Richard Shelby. I know the goodness of this country, the decency of folks. This is a moment for us to get out of our partisan corners and to look at the long arc of history and this incredible experiment with democracy that's been going on for a couple centuries plus right now. The history has its eyes on us. How are we going to operate? We cannot cave to partisanship and tribalism that's destroying our nation. In this moment, we've got to let our highest selves come through and sit in those seats and uphold the oath we all just swore last week and do right by our nation to ensure that this democracy endures.
Do you expect to endorse another candidate for president on the Democratic side before Iowa?
I'm not sure. Look, I'm literally still just days from stepping out of this race. The values that I ran for, just what I mentioned and relevant to this impeachment trial. We are a nation that has to come back together. The lines that divide us, I don't care what our TV stations tell us, cable news, the lines that divide us are not as strong as the ties that bind us as a nation. The greatest threat I see right now is we can't even make our civic spaces reflect the things we even agree on. We agree on common sense gun safety. We agree on infrastructure. So many things we agree on that we can't get done anymore. And our competitor nations, heck, China's just built 18,000 miles of high-speed rail, and the busiest rail corridor in North America, going from Boston to Washington, D.C., runs half an hour slower than it did in the 1960s. Our inability to come together and stand together as a nation are undermining our competitiveness. I want to support a candidate that, yeah, wants to send Mitch McConnell to the back benches, yeah, wants to beat Donald Trump, but also understands that beating Donald Trump is the floor, it's not the ceiling. It may get us out of a terrible valley, but we're called as a nation to go to the mountaintop. And so I'm going to think hard about who to endorse, because those are the values I ran for. And whoever the next president of the United States, they've got to be able to heal this nation, remind us that the call of every generation of Americans is to put more indivisible back into this one nation under God.
Senator Booker, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.